Hey everybody, I am Josh Olive with Haven Comics, and it is time for some shop talk, so stick around while we play this awesome intro video. I do love that intro video. I appreciate Nick Ellis making that for us. I think of him every single time we play it. So, big shout out to you, Nick. Thank you for that, buddy. Uh, no need to linger about. Let's just jump right into it. We've got the one, the only Mr. Alan Breedlove right here. What's up, Alan?
Say hello to my little friend.
What is going on?
Man, it is time for Dragon Consolation.
Here's my thing on Dragon Con. I went years ago. I had an absolute blast. It was tons of fun.
And you never want to do it again?
And I never want to do it again.
I believe all of that.
Here's and there's nothing wrong with it. If you get a chance to go and you're a comic book collector or just pop culture period, I say you need to go. I could have spent, well, in fact, I spent from open till almost close in Artist Alley or in the dealer's area. That was it. I did not.
Last time I went, I did the exact same thing because they've got Artist Alley is now over in the America's Mart build, all its own building.
Yeah.
And then the dealers are all downstairs. So it has its own floor at the top, and then the dealers are all down on the next two floors. And the last time I went to Dragon Con, I just stayed there at the comic book area the entire time because the rest of it was just too much. And I went downstairs to check out the vendors a couple of times, but that was so chaotic and you couldn't even move in there. It was just so tight. I was like, you know what? Nah.
Yeah, a buddy of mine at work, he was asking me about it. He was like, as much as you're into this stuff, why don't you go to it? And I told him, I said, I love it. It's a great atmosphere. It's just way too many people.
Oh.
And on some level, for the type of collector that I am and the stuff that I want, it's not worth going unless you have $25,000-$30,000 to blow.
Yeah. It's you and at least 85,000 of your closest friends, spread across 4. I think now it's 5 hotels, maybe.
Yeah.
Those are just the host hotels, right? And then it's different from a lot of shows in that it's like a 24-hour show.
Yep.
Most shows you have a time when things close, and they certainly have elements of the show that close, but the rest of it just goes 24/7 the whole time, and it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It is exhausting when you have to wait an hour to get an elevator up to the 25th floor or whatever. That's insane. That's not cool.
Yeah, the year that I went, believe it or not, it was probably 94, 95, so maybe 93, somewhere, let's just say somewhere between 92 and 95. I got lucky in the aspect of the people that I wanted to meet as far as artists and get their signatures were concerned. They didn't have very big lines.
Let's talk about that for a second. Who did you want to meet?
Adam Hughes.
Back in 93, 94, 95? Right on.
Yeah, that was, I think that was right around the time that some of his Vampirella covers were really starting to hit hard.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Linsner, J. Michael Linsner?
Yep.
Yeah, because I took my Cry for Dawn series and got him to autograph them. And then there was pretty much anybody over at Gaijin Studios at the time.
Heck yes.
I mean, I literally just walked up and dropped some Image comics and said, grab what you want and sign it. I don't even care if it's yours. And they got the biggest kick out of that. So, I've got signatures all over the place on stuff like Wildcats #1 or Youngblood #1.
See, now that's fun.
Yeah, it was just it was one of those that those comic books were hot at that time, but you just knew that over the course of history they weren't going to be worth a ton. So it was just fun to me to see who signed what. And oh crap, I've got one somewhere where he's like, I'm signing it here because so and so drew this better than I did, and it pissed me off. And I got to go try to dig that comic book out.
I really wish you would. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I've got to go.
That's like an artifact of comic history right there.
Yeah,
That's
it's just one of those quirky little things that are in your collection. And then the longest line that I stood in line for about, but I'd also gotten there early. I stood in line for about 30 minutes to meet Glenn Danzig because the Verotic comics had just come out. And I was actually kind of nervous because about maybe 10, 15 minutes into it, they were like, he is not signing anything Misfits. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have anything Misfits, even though I do have this Danzig CD. Maybe he'll sign it. But then I noticed he wasn't signing too much of that stuff. So then it was like, okay, am I going to get this signed or not? Well, this girl that was in front of me, she gets up there and she's got on like a black jacket. She takes her jacket off and she had on, it was kind of like a midriff tank top thing.
Yeah.
But tattooed across her belly was the Danzig logo.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, holy crap. It was like right about her belt line. She had on a dress. And she looked at him flat out and she said, well, I've noticed you're really not signing music memorabilia, but I need your autograph right here so my tattoo artist can trace it. That dude could not get across that freaking table fast enough to sign that for her. So I knew that I was in at that point.
Oh, Mike, watching from New Mexico.
What up? But I was joking around with a guy that I work with, and he was asking me about it. And I said, here's the thing about it. I know the type of person you are. Don't go. You're going to hate the crowds. But if for some reason at any point this weekend, even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, if you decide that you need every bootleg Godzilla movie that's ever been made in the original Japanese language, just drive over. Somebody's got it.
That's 100% accurate.
Yep.
New Mexico is a beautiful place.
See, it just sounds hot to me, and I don't like that.
But it's a dry heat.
Hot's hot when you're fat.
Actually, if you get up to like the Albuquerque area, is that Arizona? I always get them mixed up. Anyway, it's what they call high desert, and it's not that hot. It's just it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Never saw so many hummingbirds in your life.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's interesting.
I saw something go past, and I thought, man, that bug is enormous. And I turned and I looked, and there it is, just hovering, hummingbirds everywhere. Food was good too.
So there is something that I do need to address right quick. It's this comment right here.
I was wondering how long it was going to be before that cat came out of the bag.
I'm going to tell y'all right now, if y'all ever, and I mean ever, have a chance to go to a horror movie with Nick, drop everything that you're doing and go. Just go. It is an experience unto itself. Just watching him fidget. He did a lot better than what I thought he would. But there were a couple of parts that, they got him, and it was quite funny.
One of them got him so he turned in his seat and yelled at you.
And it wasn't very nice when he yelled at me either. It kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. I think my favorite part, though, was the final jump scare happened, and he goes, "Why? Just why?"
Oh, that sounds fantastic, Mike. On both counts, I could even take the rain.
Yeah, really. We're supposed to get rain this weekend.
Of course we are. But let's talk for a minute about Dragon Consolation. So for anybody who doesn't know, we do this every year. We started several years back, mainly because everybody that is in the geek community in Huntsville just picks up and goes off to Atlanta for this weekend, and it just feels dead. There's no energy in Huntsville, so we're like, look, we got to do a little bit of something to get people jazzed up, right? So we partner with another business in town, and we have a deal where if you buy something from Haven and you bring in your receipt to the other business, you get a special deal or a discount or something there, and vice versa. So if you buy something at the other place and bring your receipt to Haven, you get a little special deal on top of that. So this year, for the second time, we're partnering with Dragon Forge Cafe at Low Mill. And Alan, tell them why we're partnering with Dragon Forge Cafe.
Because the place is friggin' awesome.
That's exactly right.
That's the only way to do it's. Whether or not, if you're into D&D, you need to go eat at this place, because just eating at this place feels like a side quest.
That's true, and the food is darn good.
Yeah, or if you're into video games, it feels like the tavern that you go into where you're safe and you don't have to worry about somebody attacking you. They've got really good food. It's a really good atmosphere. At the same time, though, if you're not into that stuff, it's still really cool to go and check out. It's one of those places where you walk in and when you sit down, you just automatically feel comfortable.
Yep.
I mean, that's just the way it feels. Like I said, they have really good food. They had some like lemonade drink last time we was there, and I was trying to think of the name of it. It was something elixir that I've got to get again.
You could not be more right, Mike, because last time when we went, and that's what I tried to get, they only had one left, and guess who got it? It wasn't me.
And it was delicious. Absolutely delicious.
So I ended up getting the roast beast, and that was also awesome. But dang it, if I didn't want that second breakfast sandwich, I really did. Really did. But yeah, so they're going to be offering that deal with us, and so if you swing by there for lunch tomorrow, which is what we're doing, by the way, if you want to meet up with some Haven folk, we're meeting up there for lunch early, 11:15, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, by 11:15, and Tots did respond. He's in for 11:15.
Sweet. So yeah, if you want to join us, swing by, man. We're going to be having lunch, having a good time, and then just bring your receipt to Haven either later that day or over the weekend, and you'll get a little extra deal off of what we're already doing. We're already running a sale this weekend, but you'll get a little extra on top of that. Another thing that we're doing tomorrow night, I haven't even had a chance to post it yet because it came through pretty late this afternoon. Tomorrow night at Haven at 6:00, Carrie Jordan is going to be running a game called Dungeon, which is a Dungeons and Dragons product. It's like the perfect wedding of a board game and a role-playing game. It's both, all in one. So if you want to give that a shot, it's open to whoever wants to play. I think it can seat up to 6 players. That's tomorrow night at 6:00. Nick, I know you're... but yeah, come on out and play. Have a good time. It'll be great. So, Dragon Consolation, it's fun. It's our way of doing a little bit of something for the folks in Huntsville who might have wanted to go to Dragon Con or but didn't get to. Whatever. It starts at 6:00, Nick. So that'll be fun. But yeah, that's Dragon Consolation. It's a good time, and we do have the beautiful graphic as designed by the one and only Bianca. I asked Bianca if she could come on the show and tonight, but there he is. There's our cute, sad dragon. A definite upgrade over that one. Like, not even in the same realm. I mean, Thank God for Bianca. That was so sweet of her to design that for us.
I am. So people are, y'all might be wondering why I'm constantly looking down. It's not that I'm ignoring Josh, but for some reason I just decided that I wanted to post a YouTube short while we're live just to see what happens.
What in the world did you post?
I'm in the middle of posting that Sting statue.
Which one?
The Sting statue.
Oh yeah, the wrestling
Yeah.
statue. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Did you see the new Moon Knight statue we just got in?
Yes, I did, and it looks beautiful.
It is exquisite. It is gorgeous. It makes me very happy. And holy smokes, what a great statue. Good stuff. But I think we've bored people long enough. Let's talk about some comics.
All right, give me
comics.
Yeah, there we go. Bam.
So, what comics you got to talk about? I imagine it's quite a few.
Actually, I do. And I even have an ash can in here that we're going to talk about.
Ooh, an ash can.
We'll talk about that here in just a second.
I'm going to just talk to you right now, like dude to dude, because they have started taking the ash cans that we get and they put them in your box. And I don't even see them. And so then I hear that we got one, and I'm like, well, where is it? I'd like to read it. And they're like, oh, Alan took that home.
I'll tell you what, I'll bring it tomorrow.
I'm like, oh, but where? I would like to see it. And they're like, yeah, sorry, bro.
I know. I was kind of upset when I saw that you had that Absolute Batman ash can, and I didn't see it.
I had to steal it from Tom.
Oh, good. The master plan is working.
Yeah, it's coming in pretty handy.
Let me tell you what. I've got a good Lord Almighty.
You all right there?
Did
you leave those in the car for a few minutes too long?
No, I just had them packed in here so much. I mean, this is one of those that, I mean, it was a problem, but it was a good problem to have. So I'm only going to hit the highlights on a couple of these, just for the simple fact because oh
no!
Not surprising. It's not surprising. There's all sorts of. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff in my box.
Some of it you put there, some of it I put there, some of it Nick puts there.
And let me tell you what, some of it Justin puts there. I mean, that happens too.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, that happens too. But some of these I'm just going to hit the highlights on because they're from a couple of weeks ago that, because we had a guest last week. We had Mr. Blaylock. If y'all did not get a chance to watch it, that was so much fun. Y'all go back and watch last week's.
I'm really looking forward to the Disavowed.
Yes, really looking forward to this.
Speaking of which, I'm glad you said that. On Friday last week, I had a book come in.
Oh, so have you read it?
Oh, yeah.
And how is it?
It is really bizarre because it feels like G.I. Joe, but it's definitely not G.I. Joe.
Nice.
But it feels like it, and you're like, I don't know. It kind of captures the whole '80s vibe pretty well. You got yours too, Daniel? I assume you got the same one. I ordered the metal one, but then I got a message saying, "Oops, we accidentally put this up, and that was not the plan." Sorry about that. I was disappointed, but okay. And then they said, "You know what? We got more printed, so." Here you go. You're going to get your metal one anyway, but they went ahead and sent me this one, the foil cover for my treble. So when my metal one comes in, we will do a giveaway with this foil one. Maybe I know an Alan who needs one.
I do want to say this right quick. Nick, stay out of my box. I like horror. My box will terrify you.
That's true. Your box would scare some people because
I got all sorts of stuff.
you got so many Cullen Bunn books.
It is absolutely nothing if somebody was to go through my box and find a freaking Daredevil from the 60s all the way up to Werewolf by Night, #1. That was a good segue. Let me tell you what, I flowed right into that. One day y'all are going to mistake me for somebody that knows what they're doing. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was, oh, that is beautiful.
You already signed up for it.
And I'm glad somebody signed me up for it.
Yeah, that's the Creeping Below by Brian Azzarello.
Yeah.
That looks freaking amazing. See, here's the cover, I guess. It's hard to make out.
Did you ever start listening to Old Gods?
Not yet. Not yet.
So
I figure I've got some long road trips coming up, and that'd be perfect.
So when you listen to it, think about that photo right there when they're talking about a particular, or I say that photo, that art right there when they're talking about Hornheed and basically the Witch of the Green, Daughter Dooley. That photo, that art right there, he had to have been listening to it when he drew that because it is so spot on. And
Mike, that book is called The Creeping Below. It says The Gods Above and The Creeping Below, but the book is called The Creeping Below. It's written by Brian Azzarello, and frankly, it looks awesome. I ordered a few copies because I think it looks awesome. It's coming out at the right time of year. It's all the good stuff. So yeah, we ordered up on that. Yeah, don't you worry, buddy. We got you one. We got you one, Nick.
Yep, you're getting one, Nick, and we all going to discuss it.
Yeah, it's going to be like our book club.
Yes, sir. But this Werewolf by Night, I know it was from a couple of weeks ago. Basically, Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell is kind of dealing with some of the fallout from Blood Hunt. That basically that supermoon that Khonshu did. He has no idea what it was. My only gripe with this book is this right here. Red band.
Once again, trying to figure out why.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why. It's my personal opinion. I don't even think this should be considered red band for Marvel. Maybe it's because they've never, really and truly done something like this. It's not bad or anything.
You had the one guy that got torn in half.
Yeah, are they doing that as kind of like a marketing stunt?
I think it's just their way of saying, well, we didn't show that in the regular version.
Yeah, and I've seen, if anybody out there is not buying Red Band because you're like, oh, that's going to be bad. No, it's not. Pick it up. It's a fun read. This was a great book. We're seeing Elsa Bloodstone and Jack. They're headed in the right direction. Elsa and Jack is that bizarre relationship that you want to see work out for some reason.
For no reason that makes any sense, but you desperately want to see that. Yes.
They are, of this particular side of it, they are Moon Knight and Tigra. To put it that way. And it just works. If you have not picked up Werewolf by Night, I highly suggest that. Next up, Gotham by Gaslight, issue number 3.
3, yeah.
So good. So good. We find out that Themyscira is actually underground, and it seems like it has been at war for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years, basically holding back all the creatures that live in what you would assume would be a hollow earth, is kind of the way that it come across to me. Just so good the way they brought the Amazons into this.
Have you seen the Bill Sienkiewicz Gotham by Gaslight cover that he just did?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, my Lord. It is beautiful. And the funny thing is, people ask him to do so many things. Somebody in the comments said, is this just a piece you did for the old series, or is this for the new one? He's like, there's a new series. Uh, but it's like a bridge, and it's kind of got this
Yeah.
ephemeral painted look to it. And there's this bridge, and then it's just him up on the bridge, and he's not even particularly close. It's like it's a good distance away. But man, does it look awesome! Are you looking it up now?
Well, I'm kind of reaching around comic books right quick, but let's see.
Because
Where did he
it
post
was
it at?
exquisite. Dude is an incredible artist. I see why when I was talking to Jim Shooter when he was here at the expo, I think the first time, um, we were talking about Bill Sienkiewicz, and he said that he was just an artistic genius. And he goes, and it's not just comics; it's anything, whatever he wants to do, um, whatever comes into his head, he can express it artistically, visual. It's just exquisite. And the more stuff you see from him, the more you are convinced that's 100% true.
How do you spell Sienkiewicz?
Oh, Lordy. Um, Senkeivi or Witzz, I think. TZ. It looks like Sinkowitz. You talk to the next comic, I'll find it.
Okay. Yeah, because I was struggling with that. So next up on the list is DC versus Vampires World War V. This is our direct follow-up. DC versus Vampires was great. This right here, it's going to take a little getting used to because our heroes have already lost. This was a really good book. This particular version of Damien is definitely the anti-hero that you want to see lose, but at the same time you do agree with what he's doing. I found it extremely interesting that Green Arrow is still getting tons of love because he got a lot of love in the first series, and they're flowing right on into this one. And Barbara Gordon as the Vampire Queen is absolutely awesome. I just wish that we still had Nightwing as the Vampire King.
Okay, here you go. Check this out.
All right, let's see what we got. Oh, wow.
See what I mean? It's not even particularly close. There's not even that much detail. And yet it's incredible because it looks like it was done during the time period.
Yeah, that is gorgeous.
It's just stunning.
Mike, to answer your question, it's a little too soon to tell with this. Just simply because they're trying to set up how it kind of come across to me as a all hope is lost type scenario. There's an uneasy truce. And Damien is out there just not caring and doing his thing. Seeing Hush at the end of it was kind of cool, but that's like no big mystery. I mean, there's several scenes, so it's not like it was like some great big reveal on Hush. So it's like I said, this one's going to probably take a couple of issues to get into because they're building a story. Unlike with the last one, they were able to jump right into it. If DC has definitely proven that they know how to do their universe versus vampires.
That's true.
Because they take it out of canon. I mean, anything can happen here. That's what I like about it. Something else that I really like that I knew it was going to be good. I knew it was going to be fun, but I didn't realize how nostalgic, but yet knew it was going to feel. And that was Johnny Quest #1. That was so good.
Hang on, I'm listening to the theme song in my head right now.
You hear them trumpets. Everybody hears them trumpets. No, but if you have not, I'm not going to tell y'all a ton about this book. If you have not picked this up and you are someone of my age range, you remember Johnny Quest, you know Johnny Quest, go pick it up and tell me what you think about it, because I felt like I was reading a Saturday morning cartoon. On some aspect, I felt like I was in my mid-20s and it was 3 o'clock in the morning and I was watching Cartoon Network. So this was just a really fun book.
You're right about that, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot else to say. I think you're right. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Nick Ellis.
Educate the boy.
Nicholas. Oh, my God, dude. You know, here, Nick, you're a tech-savvy person. I know what you're doing this weekend, and I think it's extremely boring, but God love you for doing it. Your new assignment is to get caught up on Johnny Quest, and I want you to even watch the updated cartoons they did in the, what was that, the mid or late 90s?
Yeah, the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, those were great too. Johnny Quest was a fun cartoon.
It's not scary, Nick. You'll be all right.
Yeah, it's not scary at all. Maybe a couple of maniacal laughs, but that's about it. Next up, we got Geiger, issue 5.
That was a rough issue.
It was.
That was a rough issue.
But at the end of it, it turns into a satisfying issue.
Yeah, but it was rough, man. That one hurt.
Yeah.
That was a sad read. I mean, you read that and you're like, oh my God, please, please, please be okay.
Now, here's my thing on it. I really and truly have not been a fan of the Nuclear Knight, but he is growing on me now. I mean, he was
built. I think he was built to do that.
Yeah.
I think he was built to be a real. First, you hate him, then he's just super irritating, and then you start to think he's okay. And I think before long, we're going to think he's a great character, and we're all going to love him. He's kind of on the same progression as we hope Nick is.
Yeah, really. The Nuclear Knight, it started changing for me in the whole issue where he went back out that night to find that book for Tark.
Yep.
That was his turning point. But by this issue, you're rooting for the guy. I mean, you're not 100% there, but you're rooting for him in this issue.
That just reminds me, and it makes me want to, let's talk about Ghost Machine for a second, right?
Okay.
I've had some discussions. They've hired a new person to talk to retailers and kind of be the liaison with retailers. And God love her, she used to be a retailer. So she knows what we're talking about. She is flat out awesome. Okay. But we were talking, and we got to talking about, because I just read a retailer preview of the upcoming book Rockefellers, which is kind of targeted at kids, right? Teenagers, kids. But it doesn't talk down to anybody. It's a book that anyone can read and enjoy. And it starts off with like a rip your heart out kind of a moment. And you're like, that's not what I was expecting, right? At all. Really, really good. But we're talking about it. And she goes, well, that's not really any more aimed at kids than The Rook is. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And she says, go back and reread The Rook. She goes, it's dark and the art is very grown up looking, but there's no cussing, there's no swear, there's no sex, there's no nothing. It's 100% okay for your kid to read Rook. Now, I think it's scary. The themes are a little bit more grown up, but she goes, there's nothing in Rook that a parent would find objectionable for their kid.
She's right, I think, but it also depends on the age of the child.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not going to give it to a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I mean...
but I just thought that was interesting. I was like... Because I had to go back and look at it. And I was like, she's right. There's nothing in there. It feels like a super, mature story that would be a good rated R kind of a movie.
Yeah.
But you look at it, it's not.
So far, Redcoat's been the same.
Apparently, Jason Fabok came up with the idea for Rook when he was 10 years old, and he's been working on it ever since. This is a honest to goodness, really for real passion project for him that he has been working on his whole life.
So do you have like an open line of communication with her?
Yeah.
Tell her I want my dang Ghost Machine coffee. It's been ordered. We still hadn't got it.
I will check on when the timeline is on that.
I mean, how can I critique the coffee on a Saturday morning random live stream and talk about Ghost Machine if they don't send us the coffee?
Yeah, I will tell her exactly that, in fact.
So this book right here, I was extremely happy to read this, and I'll explain why I was happy to read it. That's Fantastic Four issue 23. This was a very fun issue because it's all pretty much from Johnny Storm's perspective, and
from the perspective of the Stash.
Yeah, and when you get to the point where Reed Richards is explaining everything, you kind of have the Johnny Storm narration kick in and go, all right, look, he's talking a bunch of science stuff that nobody really cares about, so let's just skip all that, and I'll fill you in later. I mean, I like that, but the reason why I was looking forward to this and really wanting to read this book was I was worried that having to do these couple of issues that they inserted for Blood Hunt, if that would throw North off any, and it didn't. I mean, it keeps flowing. This is Fantastic Four. If y'all are not reading it, even if you've never read a Fantastic Four comic before, it's only the 23rd issue. You can go pick them all up. You might have to get trades for the first 6. You don't need to know anything about the Fantastic Four because everything that you need to know, he tells you in the first couple of issues.
Yes, he does.
I mean, it's this right here, North's version of Fantastic. Is it Ryan North?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan North's Fantastic Four version is literally or his run on it is the perfect time to get into Fantastic Four.
Because 100% couldn't be better.
Yeah, you don't need to know 60 years worth of history to get into it.
And if you're looking for a fun comic book that doesn't take itself too seriously and yet produces stories that like will hit you in the feels, what a great story! What a great book! He's doing a great job with it. In the very first issue, and I don't know if this would appear in the trades or not, probably not, but in the first issue at the back where the letters column would normally be, he had this letter to readers essentially saying, this is what I think the Fantastic Four should be. And he outlined like 4 or 5 things. And all of those things, he was dead right. And he has been true to his word and saying, I'm going to make the Fantastic Four that. It's not superheroes. It's a family of adventurers. It's not all angsty and dark and gritty and depressing. We have Punisher for that, right? We have Batman for that. It is just a phenomenal story, well told, with a sense of humor. And it's really been focused on the core characters, too, which I've really been grateful for.
Yeah, and it was like the way that he did it, the very first issue was nothing but Reed and Sue. Mm-hmm. We know that something happened in New York, but we're not 100%. The second issue is literally Ben and Alicia.
Yep.
We're getting a little closer to New York about what actually happened. The third issue, on the first page, you are literally, for the love of God, Johnny Storm needs to shave this mustache.
It's a horrible, horrible mustache.
It is god awful. But the third issue is all about Johnny Storm. The fourth issue, we bring everybody together.
Almost like he planned it.
Yeah, almost like he planned it. And that's when we find out about New York, what actually happened. And you've had, like, honestly, the first issue of just Reed and Sue could have literally been a movie unto itself because of what they were doing and what was going on. The same thing with Alicia. with Ben and Alicia. That was a fun. Honestly, it was a very sweet story.
Yep.
The third issue was just typical Johnny Storm hijinks, and then the fourth issue, he rips your friggin' heart out.
Oh, big time.
I mean, it was awful. So
in a great way.
Yeah, I cannot recommend this. Oh yeah, and then what was it? Issue was it issue 7 when he brought Doctor Doom into it?
Oh, it was earlier than that, I think.
Well, wasn't it like also some type of like legacy anniversary issue or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But that was a great story. That was a surprisingly well done story.
Yes, and you will 100% be rooting for Doctor Doom to win.
Yeah.
If he can just win and do what he's trying to do, you would be happy. You're rooting for that. And now naturally it doesn't work out, and you finally understand why it doesn't work out. But I mean, this has just been a great book.
Well, and then you get like the issue where you just see these aliens, and the Fantastic Four they're not even in it.
Yep.
Until the very last page, and you're like, what is going on here? But it's a story that just tugs at the heartstrings. It was great. And then like a comic book straight out of 1965, total Silver Age goofiness. Everybody is dinosaurs. I just don't know a better way to say it. Everybody is dinosaurs. It's so good. It should be, Mike. If it's not, we will order it. I will take the note to check with Tom on that. But if not, we'll get you one. It's so very good. It's just really such a fun book.
And the art in it has been gorgeous. Now, speaking of another fun book that is fun, but this book is a flat out emotional roller coaster ride. And so if some of y'all were watching a couple of weeks ago when Josh and I were talking about comic book collectors and people talking about, well, there's really nothing good out. And it was the whole, well, it's not what you want to read. If you're not reading this and you're still telling people that there's nothing good out, there's something wrong with you, because The Vengeance of Moon Knight is absolutely phenomenal. It is great. The end of it is borderline, oh my God, here we go, and borderline, this is actually kind of creepy because he's embracing it now. What can he be stopped at this point?
Yeah.
Because I mean, what we saw with Age of Khonshu, that completely and totally unleashed Moon Knight that has embraced Khonshu 100% cannot be stopped.
Yep.
The only person that could stop him was himself.
Yep.
That story was brilliant from beginning to end. And now with him and Brett, I love that whole, when he's telling Tigra, I'll be with you in a moment. I just kind of need a moment. And everybody thinks that he's talking about he's got to talk to the Midnight Mission itself. And I love that, where he's walking down the hallway and he's got his hand on the wall and he's like, we don't need to talk. We understand each other.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, okay, I'm ready. And you're like, well, who's he wanting to talk to? And then you see that final shot.
The statue, yeah.
Yeah. So good. So good.
I want to piggyback on that because I don't think you've read this one yet.
Yes, that one is the one that come out this week, correct?
Phases of the Moon Knight #1. Yes, this just came out yesterday.
That looks so cool.
Let me tell you, there's 2 stories in here. And the first one is how the Shroud became Moon Knight.
All right.
And it's pretty darn cool, right? It's timely. It ties in well with the story that we've just been going through with Vengeance of Moon Knight. And then it changes gears entirely to the year 1200 in England,
Is he a Knight Templar?
He's not a Templar, but well, he doesn't say that he's a Templar, but he is wearing the Templar white tabard with the red cross.
Yeah.
Um, let's just say I would read a series of medieval Moon Knight.
That would be cool.
I would read the ever loving heck out of that series. They're in Egypt. It's the same setup essentially as what happens to Mark Spector. How he becomes Moon Knight. But I want to read more about that dude. I need to read more about that guy.
Who's writing it?
The second story, let's see, it should say here on the front. The Crusader is written by Benjamin Percy with art by Rod Reese, or Rice, I'm not sure how he pronounces it, but Benjamin Percy wrote the Crusader story. If I recall, is he the same guy that wrote Predator versus Wolverine?
Oh, I don't remember. I'll be honest with you.
Maybe. But holy smokes. And I guess while I have the spotlight, I'll go ahead and share another book that came out this week that you probably haven't read, but the timing is good. And Nick Ellis, if you don't pick this up and read it, I don't know what's wrong with you. Of Aliens versus Avengers. Written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Asad Ribic. It's a non-continuity story, so anything can happen.
That bag and boarded, can you open it up so we can see the art?
Yeah, it's the same art on the inside. Asad Ribic does the covers. Let's see here if I can.
Yeah, I mean, Zach, I understand your comment because there's a part of me that says if Aliens, more than one, is going against the Avengers, they need to do it the right way, and the only person that can survive is the female lead. Everybody else has got to die.
Let's just say this story takes some twists and turns that are pretty fantastic, and what happens at the end will have you going like, no. Oh.
Really?
Can they do that? What does that mean? How will that change things? That's a terrifying idea. Yeah, that's how this thing ends. You're like, I don't know. Yeah, it ends creepy. The story itself, like I say, they pulled no punches. But picture, for example, an alien chest burster, because they're xenomorphs, right? They take on the qualities of their host. Picture one of those popping out of Reed Richards. Picture one of those popping out of Hulk. A gamma irradiated Hulkified alien would be terrifying. Even more so than a normal one. But yeah, it's a non-continuity story. Consequences, things happen. But holy smokes, is that a great story. I just got to tell you, if you like Aliens at all and you like Marvel Comics at all, this is a fantastic mix. Off soapbox now.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Next up, and Tots, you need to pay close attention. This is not coming out for a while. This is the ash can that I referenced earlier. I think we still might have a month or two before this. But I read this afternoon. Here's the Hyde Street ash can.
Man, you got that? I'm so mad.
So,
I'm so mad.
This
I
is
was
how you
looking
do
for
it.
that.
This is how you do an ash can. This ash can was absolutely perfect. I mean, I was kind of in the mindset of, hey, I'll pick up Hyde Street so we can talk about it on the show. Because to me, the whole little thing that they did with it didn't really set it up that much. But after the story that I read in here, oh, I'm looking forward to Hyde Street now.
Oh, I'm all in on Hyde Street. I think it's going to be spectacular.
This is when you read the story.
I'm trying to get Ivan Rice or Yvonne Reese, however he says his name. I'm trying to get him to come on the show, and it looks like I may be able to work that out. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, the story in here that they go with is a Boy Scout helping a little old woman across the street. Now, what y'all need to understand about Hyde Street, and I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all about this story, but what y'all need to understand about Hyde Street is it's going to be more of an anthology from the looks of it, that just revolves around one certain area. But in this particular story,
but they're all interconnected and there's linkages between it. That's the thing. It's not just random stories and that's it. There is a thread that will pull them all together, and I think that's going to make it. It's going to add a level of creepiness to it once those start to become obvious.
It's going to be very,
no,
very creepy because in this particular story, you know what? I'm not going to ruin it. I'm bringing it for you tomorrow to read. I'm telling you right now. Tots, Mike Wazlowski, Matt Posey. Y'all are definitely going to love this. I'm trying to think who else in our circle would really enjoy this. Think old school, creepy and eerie. Think the EC comics. Think stuff along those lines. This was a 4-page story is maybe what's in here, and absolutely blew me away. It was just that good. I cannot wait to see a color version of it. Next up on my list, and now we're getting into the newer comics actually from last week. This is one Vault Comics just come out with. It's called Something Crawled Out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about this book yet, just for the simple fact that it does a really good job setting the story up. But there's a couple of like random comments or random lines that are in the comic that you need more context. You need more. I mean, it's good art. I think they spend a little bit too much on trying to set some of the characters up. But other than that, I mean, it was a good book. It's a solid book. I do want to check out the second one just to see how it goes. One of the things is yes, Daniel Major. As far as Hyde Street is concerned, definitely eerie style. And creepy. And we'll be getting to this one, which falls along those lines also. But Something Crawled Out. There's a male character in it. You have your two main characters are a girl named Eddie. So I'm assuming her name is Edith or something like that. And her best friend, his name is Rainier. There's a lot of people that really don't like him. And the reason why they don't like him is because they all know he's the devil.
Well, that stands to reason then.
But it's just kind of weird that he's not like what you would think of.
Nobody likes Rainier. He's the devil.
Well, I mean, is it because of his attitude, or is it because he's actually the devil? Even though you do see a scene where, yeah, his eyes start glowing red and some things happen. And so you're thinking, okay, this guy's really the devil, but then it really doesn't touch on that again. He's now fixing the toilet in his house.
Well, the devil has plumbing problems too.
Well, you know, I mean,
You
there's
got to imagine every single flush in hell goes wrong.
exactly. Oh yeah, and he's having somebody. Yes, because he likes the foosball, Bobby. He's having
Little
somebody else
girls are
work
the
on the
devil.
car.
I will say this for anybody who wants to give something crawled out a read. Um, Vault sent us a bunch of copies, without they didn't charge us for them. They sent us a bunch as a promotional marketing thing. So if you guys want a copy of something crawled out, pick one up at the shop and consider that a gift. And if you got charged for yours, we'll swap it out for something else, Alan.
So, well, I picked it up. I mean, there's enough there to make me want to read the second issue, but there's just way too many questions that need to be answered.
Well, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's got good art. I mean, it's a decent story. There's nothing wrong with it. I do suggest if you're it. Honestly, it was somewhere between horror and a slice of lifestyle comic book. It was kind of strange in that aspect. Now something that was not kind of strange, that was definitely strange, 100% bizarre, and once again, I loved every minute of it, and that is Epitaphs of the Abyss issue number 2.
Heck yes.
So issue number 1, and Daniel Major, this goes back into the whole creepy and eerie stuff. They did revive EC Comics for this. The first issue was absolute perfection. I mean, I loved the first issue. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. The second issue, it just if you like this style of comic book, if you like this style of story, this issue is very comfortable to you. It's right in your wheelhouse. Once again, you've got 4 stories. A couple of them are pretty creepy. A couple of them you're kind of, I don't know about. I'll give you all kind of an idea of the art itself.
Well, it changes from story to story, right?
Yeah, it does change from story to story. But one thing that I love about it is I say every single issue. We've got 2 issues so far, and they start out with this fella here.
Grave digger.
Yeah, so I mean that's been fun. The first story in here is called Pattern Recognition, and that is one of those. I don't even know how to begin to explain that story. It's almost like some type of Twilight Zone / eerie / Tales from the Dark Side. It's a bizarre little story, and then by the end of it, you're like, oh. There's another story in here that is obviously during the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and it's told from the point of the view of the zombie.
Yep, I thought that was pretty great.
My favorite line was, "How long have I been laying here?"
Ooh, yeah, that was pretty great. I gotta say, if for anybody who hasn't read Epitaphs from the Abyss, it's awesome. But the sci-fi stories, Cruel Universe, also spectacular. That first story really got you, didn't it? Cruel Universe.
In Cruel Universe,
the cover is like a spaceman fighting a T-Rex. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, in Cruel Universe, I don't think anybody saw that twist coming in that first story.
I sure didn't. No. Although it's a direct homage to a story that appeared in one of the old EC books that caused a real uproar with with the newly implemented the Comics Code Authority, the CCA.
Yeah.
Caused a huge uproar, and this story mirrors that one. Same kind of idea.
Really?
I'll talk to you about it offline. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but yeah, it was
Okay.
really, really cool. To revisit that concept
Yeah.
was really cool.
The If you like that style stuff, it's once again, it's not books that are for everybody, but if you like that style, you're going to love it. It's Epitaphs from the Abyss issue 1 and Cruel Universe issue 1. Both of those comic books were absolute perfection.
Yeah, they were
Um,
phenomenal.
for what they were trying to do and what they were trying to give us that we have not had in a long, long time. In fact, I believe with Epitaphs for the Abyss, I think I even said that they sat in a back dark room somewhere and read some type of ancient scrolls to be able to pull this off because it was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
They tapped into some power on that one. Next up, we've got, and I did not see the ending of this one coming, even though I should have, which actually made me mad. Redcoat issue 5.
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of with you. I thought, but no, I should have seen it coming too.
It was so blatantly obvious.
Yep.
And then when it finally does happen, you're still not expecting it.
Yeah.
I did like that. Apparently, Patrick Henry was immortal also.
Give me liberty or give me death.
Yep. But now that
Take
was,
liberty, please.
I did like the way they explained why they cannot leave America. It's like a magical force field.
Yep.
And if they leave, they're pretty much automatically dead. So, yeah, they're immortal, but on some level, when you're immortal and you're confined to, say, just one country, you're pretty much in prison.
I mean, it's a huge country.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge country and it's a huge prison, but you'll never be able to experience anything except this one area where, by the way, some people will be like, well, that's not so bad. Well, yeah, it is when there's other immortals and there are death cults and everything else that are actually hunting you.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. They know where to look.
Yeah, I mean, they know they don't have to go far. I mean,
it's a big barrel, but you're fishing a barrel.
Yep.
Now, I have enjoyed Redcoat quite a bit. Geiger is great. Hyde Street looks amazing. Rockefellers, like I said, I just read the retailer preview for that. And the other thing with those books, and it's kind of going unnoticed in a lot of ways, but it shouldn't. The production values on the books themselves, the physical books, are stellar.
Oh, they're great.
The card stock they're using for the covers, the paper, and guess what they're charging on the cover price for every one of them? $3.99. They haven't jacked it up. They're not $5, not $6, they're not $7, which we're getting from a lot of these other people who are using a lot more inferior quality materials.
And we're getting
wraparound covers.
Wraparound covers.
Did you see that they're making a what's his name? The robot, Junkyard Joe.
Yeah.
That they're making a Junkyard Joe like Mezco action figure, like the old 70s.
We'll give you all an idea on the artwork.
Brian Hitch, one of the best names in the business.
And this is what I'm expecting. I can't critique my ghost roast if you're not sending it.
I will talk to Danielle about that immediately.
Get them beans in the mail. I need them magic beans.
It was weird, but I had to order that from our comic distributor. It felt strange to order coffee from a comic distributor, but like, what are you going to do?
Well, it happens. Next up, I know is something that's near and dear to your heart. And that G.I. Joe 309.
There we go.
I'm still not used to Snake Eyes talks, and he says like maybe one word every other issue.
Somebody on one of the G.I. Joe forums on Facebook the other day, I say forums like I'm still 1998. One of the Facebook groups posted the other day like, what's going on? Snake Eyes is talking. And a lot of people are like, yeah, Larry Hama's lost his mind. I'm like, no. Let's go through this. his consciousness, his memories, everything were downloaded into a new body, a cloned body. That cloned body was never disfigured. That cloned body, uh, the his vocal cords were never damaged. This dude can talk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're like, uh, but I don't know if I like that. I said, that's a different question.
It's weird.
It makes sense within the context of the story
Yeah.
that he can talk. Um, and somebody posted, and God love them, they're a genius. They're an evil genius, but they're a genius. They said, you know what would be really cool in that kind of cruel way would be if Larry Hama made it so something happened and now Scarlet is deaf.
Now that would be a good one.
I was like, that is cruel. Snake Eyes can finally talk and he can tell you all the things, and now you're like, what?
Now, this book right here actually kind of made me mad a little bit.
Yeah.
It suckered me in on something, and then
would that be Cobra Commander?
That would be Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, Cobra Commander's handling business. And then the next thing you know, the only thing that would have been missing would have been him standing there in a smoking jacket and a coffee cup watching it on TV.
Yeah.
That one kind of made me mad, but once again, it's Cobra Commander, so it fits.
Right. It was so true to his character.
Yeah. The Dawn going back to the car on fire at the end of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And leaving you going, is she going to do the right thing or the wrong thing? And either one, I can see her doing.
And the bad thing about it is there is no right thing, and at the same time, there is no wrong thing in this situation, at least in my mind.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
It's for those of you that are not reading it and that will never read it, we have a character who's basically in a situation where both of her parents have been taken out. The man that took her parents out is trapped in a car that's on fire. She can have her revenge by just leaving him where he's at.
Yep.
She can have her revenge by finishing him herself, or she can save him and pull him out of the car.
Yeah.
But even then, if she pulls him out of the car, does she let him go? Or does she pull him out of the car to get her revenge that way?
It's a lot of moral dilemma in one panel.
There's so much going on, and all you really and truly can focus in on is her coming through the fire. And it's like, what is she going to do? And like I said, in my mind, there's no wrong decision in this situation. It's just which decision, and it was perfectly done.
It was a classic example of show don't tell.
Yeah,
and so you're just watching this unfold, like, oh man, and you're kind of like,
and he does between the art and the way Larry Hama wrote this. It's an outstanding job with the whole letting the reader's mind run away with them.
Yeah.
This was definitely a less is more.
Yeah.
They didn't have to give you very much, but at the same time, by not giving you very much, they gave you everything. It was, it was brilliant the way it was done.
Speaking of G.I. Joe, I think it behooves me to tell you, in case you didn't see it already, the next story arc, Chris Mooneyham is coming back. So I know that you're going, I sure hope he focuses on a Scarlet Lady J story.
Nobody draws Scarlet like Chris Mooneyham. And if he ever comes to the Pop Culture Expo, yeah, we know which cover he's doing.
Yes.
But speaking of, there was a very bad decision made in this comic book right here.
All right, let's see which one you got.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right here. I don't care who you are. You do not go after Destro when he is at his ancestor's tomb.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
That's a very bad idea, but I love the way it ended.
She is a pretty awesome new new character, huh?
Yes, she really is. They introduced her the right way, and then the way they brought Flag into it was absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
The fact that he's basically, in order to save himself, he's got to turn himself in. But then he's sitting there saying, it really doesn't matter. You're going to let me go anyway, because if you don't let me go, where are you going to get your weapons from?
Yep.
And how it tied into like the history of the mask and everything. Oh, this is so good.
Yeah, I am very, very pleased with this Destro miniseries. I really am.
Yeah, and Dan Waters, who is writing this, is taking over Nightwing. So I'm looking forward to see how Nightwing goes, which we can go ahead and jump right into Nightwing.
Yeah.
This was a great issue. It really was.
It's the penultimate issue for the Tom Taylor run.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the next issue is the end of the Tom Taylor run. It's going to be kind of sad to see him go, but he's definitely going out telling a great story. Seeing this grizzled Nightwing with a beard who kind of looks half homeless show back up at the end of it with his sticks ready to handle business. You know, I did really enjoy the whole Batman dressed as Nightwing and then Oracle telling him, hey, you need to check this out. And he's like, I'm already there. And he just, Batman being Batman except dressed as Nightwing was just great.
It's a different thing, right? It's like, all right, I see that.
Yeah, so if Nightwing has been one of DC's best comics for a while now.
Yep. Pretty much since issue 78 when he took over.
Yep. The Tom Taylor run ends at issue 118. So if you're wanting to jump on Nightwing, now would be the time to sign up for it and give it a try.
Yep. Start at
because you're about to get a brand new writer and brand new stories. And DC has become pretty protective of Nightwing.
Yep. You're not reading Absolute Power, are you?
No, I am reading Absolute Power.
You got the second issue in there?
No, I haven't been able to read the second issue yet.
Son of a biscuit.
But well, now's a good time to get on Nightwing. Would be a great time to sign up for it. I got 3 comic books left. I promise you, I'm almost done with this.
That's what we're here for, man. Sweet, no hurry.
In all honesty, we have had a ton of great comic books come out in the past 2 weeks alone.
Yeah, so true.
And I'm not even including this week. Next up, we have a old familiar story, but with new characters, and I'm enjoying it. We've got Daredevil versus Punisher once again, except we've got the Elektra version of Daredevil versus the Gravedigger of S.H.I.E.L.D. version of the Punisher.
Yep.
This is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be fun, and we're getting that Daredevil Punisher rivalry that turns into a partnership all over again. We know which direction it's headed because that's kind of the Daredevil Punisher destiny. It's just cool to see it play out with new versions of those characters. But at the same time, they're their own character themselves.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is only issue 2. So I suggest if you like Daredevil, if you like the Punisher, if you cannot, I cannot remember his real name, but the new Punisher,
Garrison, somebody like Jay Garrison or something like that.
Yeah, I think Garrison is his last name. He's a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and when he was in S.H.I.E.L.D., he was called the Gravedigger of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
And if you have not read it was 6 issues, that little Punisher miniseries at the beginning of the year, somewhere right around there.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be the Punisher. That's not what he set out to do.
He had no intention of being that.
Yeah, and he even tells you, like, it's really cool the way it's done. In the first issue, we've got I'm not the Punisher. In the second issue, it's I don't care what you call me. In the third issue, it's maybe I am the Punisher. And then by the time it's over with, it's like I am the Punisher. It's just really good the way they've done it. He's a great character. I know a lot of people get turned off on stuff like that when they're like, well, that's not Frank Castle. I don't know if New York would survive if Frank Castle and the Gravedigger of S.H.I.E.L.D. went head to head. That's just how badass this character is. And then Elektra honoring Daredevil by wearing his mantle. I mean, you just can't go wrong with that. Next up, and I know a lot of people are still not reading it, and you're really and truly denying yourself a great comic book because it's being done the right way now. That is Superman issue 17. This ties into Absolute Power. Basically, him and Zatanna are on a mission. Neither one of them have power, but he proves that he does not need power to handle business.
That is the aspect I'm really enjoying about this.
Yes.
The powers don't make him Superman.
Oh yeah, and
I think that's phenomenal.
That was great, and the fact that Lex really and truly doesn't even know. It's only a matter of time before Lex gets his memories back. But I am liking this version of Lex that we're kind of getting a little bit of he doesn't know who he is and he just kind of wants to try to help. Lois with the super suit, that was fun, even though you really don't see her in it in this issue. No, I don't think you see her in it at all in this issue. But Superman has been really good since they brought it back. And I know a lot of people have gotten kind of turned off by Superman over the past few years, but they've gotten him back to where he needs to be. And this entire run has been good. And then my final book, which is another Absolute Power tie-in, had the team up that I never knew that I wanted until I read it and then realized that I needed this team up all along. Who would have ever thought that Damian and Wonder Woman would have made such a great team?
I didn't hate Damian quite as much in that book.
To me, this book was actually, I mean, it was funny. I mean, it really was funny, them going back and forth. Right now, Wonder Woman is the only book that is out that I am enjoying the secondary story just as much as the primary story.
Yep.
I love seeing these versions of Damian and John and Trinity, whether she's whether she's little or whether she's a teenager or somewhat grown, it doesn't matter. Tom King has done a fantastic job with this chemistry between those three characters, and I hope it continues for a long time. I hope we end up getting some type of Trinity comic book that focuses on just those three.
I think that's coming.
I mean, it would be nice if it does, but Wonder Woman, I mean, issue 12, and we haven't gotten a bad issue yet. I mean, Tom King's on his game with this character. He really is.
I think, and he said as much in the Retailer Roundtable months and months and months and months ago, before Wonder Woman came out. I think he learned a lot of lessons from what worked well on his Batman run and then what was not well received. I think that shows in this Wonder Woman series. I really do. He's mixing things up with the humor and the little respites from the serious stories, but he's keeping that overarching story moving along. He's tying things in together. There's mysteries. There's a villain that you hate, but he's mixing it up so that it doesn't just feel monotonous, like this drudge toward death and destruction, which I really appreciate. But speaking of team ups, I have to think that you saw this.
Yes, I did see it. I just did not pick it up. like Nick said, that box was full.
It's Flash Gordon, Mandrake the Magician, the Phantom, and then Lothar. Lothar's the only one I don't really know.
Yeah.
Um, but that's a weird mix of people.
It
And there's some
really,
interesting things that happen in this issue. I've always been a huge fan of the Phantom. Like in the Sunday paper, that was always my favorite. Was the Phantom? Like, got to read that. Mandrake the Magician, I've always kind of liked. I've always liked Flash Gordon. And so you're like, all right, we're going to randomly put these together. It's written by Dan Didio, who was editor over at DC for years and years and years. And the art is by Jim Calafiore, artist, writer of Ned, Lord of the Pit. Uh, he's doing the art. So rock on. It's a fun little book. It's different than what I was expecting, but not in a bad way. I thought it was good. And I think I talked about this last week, but I'm going to talk about it again. A lot of people, judging by the sales, are not paying attention to this book. And I think that's a problem for those people,
hey,
not
focus
for
your
the
camera.
book.
There you go.
Because this comic has been spectacular. It's been really, really, really good. Namor. The first issue is great. It starts off with him like in prison. Why? I don't know. Um, he's in prison. It's not great. Then he ends up in the hospital. That's not great. Um, but how things progress from there gets pretty interesting. This one introduces a whole new character and a backstory for Namor that I find really interesting. And it really resonates well. Just, it's really good stuff. And if you like a story that feels pretty well, this is going to sound wrong talking about something that takes place in the water, but that feels pretty well grounded. Like it's all very believable within the context of the world, and you're like, yeah, okay, I see that. That makes sense. And that, holy smokes, that's not good. Yeah, really, really well done. Well done story. I would strongly recommend that. Let me pull from my pile here and see if I had anything else that jumps out at me as something.
Back to that.
Yeah,
Back to that Defenders for just a second. How well did Flash Gordon issue 1 do? I mean, and I'm not talking about just at Haven. I'm talking about from what you've seen from a retailer perspective across the board. How well was that received, or was it received well at all?
not great. It's been okay. It's been moderate, but not great.
And that's sad too, because it's such a good book.
This is true. Where's this other one? If you're not reading Ultimate Spider-Man, you're just not American. I don't know what's wrong with you. Ultimate Spider-Man is phenomenal. What a great freaking book. It's got humor. It's got heart. It's the Spider-Man that we all have been wanting to see for such a long time. And now it's here. It's in our hands. And it's pretty cool. Oh, this was another one I was going to talk about. There are 2 books out right now by Image. Both of them written by Chip Zdarsky. One is called Domain, and one is called Public Domain. And if you're like, well, those names are too close together, you couldn't be more right. And it's the most interesting meta kind of experiment I think I've ever heard of. Domain is a comic book. It's the story of what's going on. Public domain is the story about the story that's going on in the comic book. It's like in comic book form 100 years later kind of deal. It's really fascinating. I think you had to be on some special kind of drug to come up with that idea.
And those of you that don't read Chip Zdarsky and have no idea what Josh just said, it made perfect sense for those of us that do read Chip Zdarsky.
Right. And that right there just says it all. The dude is great. If you want to go back and have some fun with the comic, read some good old Iron Fist stories. It's a great little 50th anniversary kind of a thing, and it's just like revisiting. It's got an Iron Fist story by Chris Claremont. It's just like revisiting old friends. It's new stories and new art, but it feels like the old stuff. It's pretty good. It's easy to forget that Sabretooth first showed up in Iron Fist, right? You
Yeah.
think of him as a Wolverine guy, but he first showed up in Iron Fist. Um, got anything else there? Nah, those are the only big ones I wanted to talk about. Um, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The past 2 weeks, there have been a lot of really good comics hitting the stands, and that's what we enjoy talking about. So that's what we're here to do.
I was looking at something.
He was looking at something.
Now, I was looking at what we got coming out this week that's already come out, Green Arrow 15. But I was going to jump to next week right quick and kind of look.
Oh, have you read? Oh, why is that? No, that's. I don't know why that's here.
Lord have mercy. Look, next week we've got Batman 152, and on the cover is Catwoman and Batman kissing.
Are they sitting in a tree?
Yeah, really. And then we've got Moon Knight, the Moon Knight annual,
which is part of this whole stupid Infinity Watch thing. It's really a bunch of these annuals this year are Infinity Watch stories, all one big story, but being told in the different annuals. That just chaps me. Just admit that it's an Infinity Watch series and move on.
Yeah, really. Looks like we got Scarlet coming out next week.
Yep.
And that cover for Rook Exodus 5, oh my God.
Oh. Yeah, that'll wake you up in the morning.
That is, we have Cruel Universe #2 coming out next week. I cannot wait.
So good. So good.
And it looks like we have a Mark Spears cover coming out next week.
Which one? It's too hot in the hot tub. Ah, Spawn, yeah.
That's a good looking cover. It really is.
Yeah, he has this weird knack of making good looking covers.
No,
I gotta tell you, that Green Lantern cover he did with Jon Stewart, that's one of the coolest Green Lantern covers I've ever seen, period.
Yeah, they've been spoiling us with good comics these past couple of weeks, that's for sure. Is anybody that we know reading the Power Girl series?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, the reason why
Unless Mike might be.
I missed the boat on it, and I just wondered if it was any good.
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea at all, old boy. Sorry.
Where was I at? I kind of lost my spot. Oh well.
So you guys in the comments, what comics are y'all reading that you think we should be reading? This has all been pretty one way with us telling y'all what we think you should be reading. But y'all tell us, what do you think we should be reading? We like to hear new things too. Fair enough. The covers have been good.
Fair enough.
Got it.
Good Lord Almighty! Stop with the notifications, for the love of God.
Is it that short you just posted?
Oh no, no, security camera's going off.
You got a coyote running up to your house?
Either that or a skunk. Actually, that's what I'm reading right now, to be honest with you. I finished Mark last night or yesterday. No, day before yesterday.
That's fair too. I don't think that they have. They do have it in comic book form. They have the Action Bible with art by Sergio Cariello, which he's a phenomenal artist.
I have seen some of those before, just kind of glanced at them, and that art is phenomenal in it. I mean, just
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
yeah. Sergio Cariello knows what he's doing. He's a great artist.
Someone rated
Uh
the dollar bin.
oh,
Oh,
Who could
easy
that have
now.
been? Who was it? A friend of yours? Was that it? Your friend did that, Nate? You know, dollar bins are a great thing. Dollar bins make me happy. Um, I'll be honest with you. One of the first things I do when I go to a new store is check the dollar bins and see what they got. It
You know
just
what?
it pleases me.
Whenever we go out of town, and I know this is really weird, but whenever we go out of town and we stop by a new comic book store or something like that, I do dig through their back stock. I really don't dig through their dollar bins. But one of the things that I do, and I can't help it, I go look at everything that is new on the shelf, trying to figure out what's selling in that particular area.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because just because say Hunger in the Duck sells here doesn't mean it's going to sell in North Carolina,
Really, Nate? That's awesome.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah. Very cool. Well played.
Oh, good Lord, come on now.
We had somebody not too long ago like, hey, I just found this book in your dollar bins and it's worth like $20. And I was like, well, you got a great deal. They're like, you sure you don't want to pull it out of there? And I'm like, no. If you found it, you earned it, you got it. It's yours if you want it. And he's like, okay, cool. I appreciate you alerting me to it, but no, man, that's good on you.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of.
That's part of what makes dollar bin searching fun, right? Is finding a treasure in there.
Bank error your favor, so.
That's right. That's right. I don't know, Mike. I don't think that I have shown this since the last time I saw you. Uh, but I know you're a collector of art and such. And I just got this a couple weeks back from Don Hillsman II. Um, this original page from the 198 number 5 with the pencils are by Juan Doe and or Doe. I don't know how he pronounces his last name, but Juan Doe, and it was inked by Don Hillsman II. But look at that.
I remember you showing that off a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Mike didn't see it. Gorgeous splash page. Just gorgeous. Isn't that wonderful? And when he sent it with this. Just kind of wrapped over the top of it. That was pretty fun.
Oh, have you watched The Acolyte on Disney Plus?
I have not.
So I was just I saw that it got canceled, and I was just kind of wondering what the deal was.
Well,
is it not well received, or?
It was kind of weird because at first it was terribly received. Everybody was just bagging on it, and then it has really, really cool, like apparently the best that's been in decades, lightsaber fight choreography, and people are like, "Well, this is awesome," but apparently that was too late, and it did not resonate with enough people for them to save it.
And I did see something about supposedly, rumor has it, the second season of Moon Knight has started production or pre-production.
Yeah, they weren't supposed to do a second season. It was supposed to be a standalone, but I think Oscar or whatever his last name is was like, okay, no, I will come back and do more of that. I enjoyed playing that character / those characters.
I just wish Mr. Knight was a little more like he was in the comic books.
Well, he might become that. You have to have room for growth.
I know, but still. And then Jake at the end of it, yeah, I know they really didn't plan on it, but there has to be a second season.
We'll see. Oh, can we shed some light on DC All In starting in October? Yeah, spinning out of absolute power, which, by the way, it's 2 issues into this limited series, this big event. And I got to tell you, Mark Wade is killing it. He is knocking it out of the park. Absolute Power is so freaking good, and Dan Mora's art is spectacular. It reminds me of, in the best possible way, it reminds me of comics in the '90s from an art perspective. It's just really good. Uh, the story is great. It's scary, not in like a horror sense, but in a that's what the world would be like if Amanda Waller had the ability to do what she's always wanted to do, and she's taken it there. And this is important. We'll get to that in a second, Nate. It's not Tony Stark as Doctor Doom. They specifically called him Victor Von Doom. It's just the same actor, and he has the chops to play more than one character. Do I think it was a great decision to do that? That's a different question. But he is an absolutely spectacular actor. Uh, and I think he could do it. I also heard a rumor that he actually went out for the role of Victor Von Doom in one of the Fox uh, movies years ago. Uh, yeah. So it's a character that he has wanted to play for a long time. But anyway, DC All In. So spinning out of absolute power, we're going to get this mirror universe, this pocket universe, whatever it is, essentially the DC version of an ultimate universe. And the idea, as best I can tell, what limited stuff I've seen, is that they're taking away a key element of Bruce Wayne, of Clark Kent, of Diana Prince, and seeing how that changes them and how that affects their story. Bruce Wayne has no money. Diana Prince is not defense, she's offense. So instead of carrying a shield like she often does, she's carrying this gigantic manga sword.
Is it
Instead of being like the embodiment of hope, Superman is like melancholy. I'm not sure. But that's this concept that they're trying to go for. I think the stories will be interesting. I think it's not a great concept to found a new universe on if you expect that to be a long-term ongoing universe, because the key characteristics of a character are what make them that character. If you keep the fundamentals, you can change a whole lot of other things, and people will still go, yeah, that's Batman, that's Spider-Man, that's whoever. If you keep those core fundamentals, if you start messing with the basic fundamentals, it doesn't matter how much the rest of it's the same. You've messed with those fundamental underlying elements of the character, and you lose the character. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Lord knows Scott Snyder knows how to write a comic book. He wrote one of the best books of the year last year with Clear. Um, he knows how to write, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it goes well. I will say the Batman logo has been getting a lot of grief, and I would like to pile on. I think it's atrocious. It's a giant band-aid with spikes. I don't get it. There's no shape to it, no rhyme or reason. And people are like, well, maybe he didn't have any money. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. He had enough money to do the rest of it. And I can tell you from reading the Ash Can, like his cape is really weird because it is a cape, but it also goes rigid. And he like at one point uses it like a stilt or like a pole to like stick in the ground and pivot on and then punch somebody. At one point, he does this number here, reaches up to his ears, twists them, pulls them off, and then throws them at people. I don't know about that. It looked, I'm sure in their heads when they thought that up, they're like, that's going to look so cool. And I just thought it looked so corny. I thought it looked so stupid.
How is Batman not going to have any money again? We just got the money back.
Well, it's a different universe.
Yeah, but still.
Also, why is he jacked up with roid rage? He's just weird looking. That ain't Batman.
This picture that I'm looking at of Superman is wicked looking.
Just the long hair where he looks all
like he's walking in a wheat field.
Yes. Yeah.
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 That's kind of wicked looking. I like the way that looks.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I'm going to give those books a shot, Bill. I'm going to read them. We'll see how it turns out. But I'm going to read them, and we'll let you know what we think. If you want to be sure to get, I will say, people were kind of slow to start adding them to their sub lists at the store. That's certainly not true across the board, but at Haven, people have been pretty slow to start adding them, but they have started picking up this past week. Like, ooh, and I think I want that too.
Yeah, see, I like the way Superman looks there.
It looks like he's wearing short sleeves, and that's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Batman. See, it's just a giant rectangle with spikes on it. I don't get it. And if you do look close at like the shoulder pads on his uniform or on his outfit, those have got little spikes all over them too.
Yeah, we can't click in on it.
Yeah, it's some crazy stuff. But no, it's been. We'll see how it goes. I hope, and I say this with all sincerity, I hope that they're good. I hope that they're, in fact, I hope that they're great, and I hope that they sell like hotcakes, and that DC is able to make sense of that because. DC needs to have a wider range of titles that are appealing to people. Um, and the stronger they are, the better for everything. Because when you have a strong DC and a strong Marvel, everybody else is stronger too. And when you have a weak DC and a strong Marvel, or vice versa, that does not spell good things. And I have to agree with you on this.
Yep.
That's just hysterical. They come back and it's a bunch of damn dirty apes. Like, no. Yeah, it's not the mullet. It's long on top too. But yeah, it's not the mullet, unfortunately.
So what's going to happen to the regular ongoing titles?
They're just going to keep going. The same as you have Amazing Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man.
So we'll just have Batman and Absolute Batman.
Yeah.
We'll have Superman and Absolute Superman.
Yep. I do have to say these covers right here. I love these logo covers.
Yeah.
Those are just great. That's such a fun idea. That Daniel Sampere Wonder Woman, boy, that's good. That Green Arrow one is great too.
They're all good. Is that supposed to be Lois in a super suit?
I do believe so.
Woman, where's my super suit?
Woman, where is my super suit? Oh, that's fantastic. Speaking of which, did you see that an Incredibles 3 is coming out?
No, I did not see that.
Apparently, Brad Bird had an idea for a third movie. And so, yeah, there's an Incredibles 3 movie coming out.
Oh, now that's cool. October 23rd, Green Arrow, issue 350.
Yeah, they're doing the legacy number for that one. I don't know if they're going to continue it or if it's just that one, but yeah.
Nice. All right.
Yep, it's a good.
I'm done looking.
Well, you got anything you want to share with folks before we let folks go for the evening?
No, I mean, it's we go back a couple of weeks and we had that conversation about, people want to complain that there's nothing good out. I think we just everything that we had tonight literally goes back 2 weeks. We've been getting, honestly, we've got a problem, but it's a good problem to have, and it's that we've had too many good comic books come out.
That's true. I mean, I've looked at some of the ones in my pile, and I'm like, well, we didn't talk about that one, but that's only good. It's not like, oh wow.
Yeah, I know it's pretty bad when you're going through and you're like, well, yeah, this was a good book, but this was a great book. But this is, and I mean, literally, some of these books we could have we could have talked for a solid hour about what's going on with Fantastic Four.
Oh, easy.
A solid hour about Moon Knight. I've already.
Many would argue we have talked for a solid hour about Moon Knight, but
Oh
that's
yeah,
okay.
we have. But I mean, it's
and G.I. Joe too.
we're not even scratching the surface with how good Destro really is.
No, and I got to tell you that new character, Chameleon. I mean, we got a cameo of her at the end of Destro #2. We got to meet her for real here in #3. Um, I'm wondering if like Baroness is about to take a back seat to Chameleon as far as being like the Cobra, a woman that everybody's in love with and has a crush on.
Well, but here's the thing though about it though. Baroness is with Duke now.
I'm just saying, not necessarily strictly within the Energon universe, but you're going to start getting people going, yeah, that Baroness is cool, but that Chameleon chick, I think she's pretty amazing. Because they have shown her she is smart, she's resourceful, she is dangerous,
very dangerous,
and she looks like $1,000,000. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate that.
But no, she's a great character, and if you're into first appearances of characters that I think that might go somewhere someday, this one hasn't been real heralded. Nobody's really ooh, but I suspect this one might go somewhere one day because I think she is going to be very popular.
Well, let's just put it like this: if we ever get a pre-order for Chameleon through the G.I. Joe classified, just jump on it, order 2. I'll give you the money because I'll probably, like always, I miss the damn pre-orders. I don't know why I keep missing pre-orders. Usually because I'm busy at work when those come out.
Yeah, I know that feeling. They should come out on weekends or something. It's miserable.
And I don't think we'll ever get it. And we haven't seen the character in a while. But I wouldn't mind having a classified figure of Sherlock.
Oh, no, that'd be great.
I mean, she was a really cool character there for a while and then just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I liked her. We did get Helix.
Mm-hmm.
And she's pretty cool too. She's got the best face sculpt out of all of them. Her expression is good. I was really impressed with the way they did her. But yeah, I think that's a good spot for the evening. Hey, really appreciate it, everybody. If you're going to Dragon Con this weekend, have a great time. If you're going to go to Tucson convention, have a great time. Bring me back something. Bill, real quick, not that I know of at the moment, but I'm quite certain that they will want to introduce others because these have been very, very successful for them. And they've rolled them out very smartly. But if you're not going to Tucson and you're not going to Dragon Con and you are going to be in town, swing by Haven. We're going to be there. We're going to be having a great time. We're having a sale. Swing by Dragon Forge Cafe over at Low Mill and grab yourself a phenomenal meal. Holy smokes, they're great. Get a little bit of a deal. Doesn't matter. Bring your receipt from from Dragon Forge to Haven or Haven to Dragon Forge. Get a little special deal. Um, but have a great time. We're gonna have the dungeon RPG / board game tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at Haven. Come out and play. It's going to be a lot of fun. Carrie knows how to run a really fun game, and this is a nice mix of the two mediums. So let's make Dragon Consolation a fun event for everybody. Come on out and play. It's going to be great, and we will catch you guys all next time. So, in the meantime, read more comics and do your best to stay out of trouble.